This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League Racing TV. We're pretty much at the halfway point of the season after tonight, round 5 of TTML F2, and it is where Formula 1 started all those years ago, the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain for the British Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Joining me in the commentary box after a 1-week hiatus from TTML F2 is Pepsi Free. Pepsi, how are you doing?
It's good to be back here again for the halfway point of the season. 5 rounds to go here, and it's good to be back, and hopefully Silverstone can provide a good race. And sadly, I missed last week's rain race, so hopefully we get a little bit more chaos. You know, Silverstone can be a track that provides a little bit of some trickier conditions, so hopefully we see some more rain for my enjoyment.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of chaos last time out, quite a dramatic finale to the race last time around, if we're being perfectly honest with you. And it saw a new winner this season, TDB getting the win. You might remember that controversy with him and Charlie Harris in the end. That was put down, as is the only thing you can really do, that was put down to D-Sync in the end. Unfortunately, not a lot Charlie can do about that. Really gutting for him. Scott Bugner, though, his Red Bull teammate, got his first podium of the season, and it was a 3rd place for Exo Zoidema. 4 podiums in 4 races this season means that Zoidema is leading the Drivers' Championship fairly convincingly at the moment. A 28-point lead over Carvin Robb. Scott Bugner is just 1 point behind. MER Solds, who had a fantastic race, was the class of the field in the wet conditions until he made one slight mistake. He is now 5th in the championship, and Nathan, who did miss last week and is back tonight, he is now 5th in the championship on 54 points. For Constructors' Championship, by the way, unsurprisingly, Williams top of the standings at the moment in time. Red Bull in 2nd, Alpine, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, Alfa Tauri, then Aston Martin and Haas yet to get any points. And we had rain in Austria. That's always a possibility. Another circuit tonight where there's always that chance, as we've seen so many times at Silverstone. Last season, I think in TTML F1, it rained that hard. We ended up having a no-stop race. You never quite know what the British weather is going to throw at you.
Yeah, personally, I'm not British, so I've only seen it through movie and stereotypes and other things. But yeah, a nice British summer day is like basically with a little overcasty clouds. But to go back to the standings real fast, just take a quick peek. Zudema's kind of did a little bit of a runaway, you could say, with Robin Bugner only about 30-something points behind. And you could say Zudema's putting the class to the field. And with half the season already over, if the Ferrari driver, or the Red Bull driver, or even Bugner and the AlphaTauri or the reserve driver Salt want to do anything, they have to step up now, or this is Zudema's championship to lose.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking very handy at the moment, indeed. He's hoping, like I said, maybe make it 5 podiums out of 5. His teammate, TDB, put in a fantastic performance last time around in the Williams. A bit of a surprise. Mistakes were sort of the order of the day at Austria, and we've seen that at a few races this season. We saw it at Spain and Italy that come to mind as well. Bahrain, obviously, we had Matt Tibos getting a puncture when it's been in the lead. It's not like Zoidema, who had a bad qualifying last week. Let's not forget. It's not like he's been miles dominant. He just seems to be the most consistent at the moment. And seeing as it is only a 10-race series, it could be hard for some of the drivers to try and catch up, especially if he puts in another podium today and those closest to him struggle. He'll be looking very good to take this championship in 5 weeks' time.
I would agree with that as well, but we do have some trickier tracks coming up like Belgium and Japan, which we know are very a little bit hard to handle, and one mistake could easily throw him back into the wolves. One no-points finish here today, and let's just say Bugner wins or Salt, Berserk, the Ferrari driver, Carly Robb, and now the gap's 5, so it's very easy to lose a lot of points, and it looks like a very picture-perfect summer, sunny day here in Silverstone, at least for qualifying.
Yeah, thankfully it is, I can tell you, absolutely brilliant weather for qualifying at the moment. So let's head out then onto the track, see what it looks like at Silverstone. It is going to be nice and dry. A few cars heading out there at the start of the session. We'll be able to tell you what the weather's going to be like for the race. It's going to be a bit more British, but not fully British. It is going to be overcast and cloudy for the race, but no chance of rain. That's good news for everyone. Very straightforward strategy, therefore, for the drivers around Silverstone. You imagine if you're inside the top 10, you'll be starting on the softs. If you're outside the top 10, probably starting on the mediums. So hard tyres used here. It is a very basic one-stop for all of the drivers.
Correct, indeed. It's very easy. Not much you have to think about going into it, but if a safety car does come in the monkey works, you could see a driver maybe try a two-stop, maybe try something more aggressive to try to get their way up for the field. So And we know Silverstone, there are some tricky corners, so it's not all a one-stop, all set and done, if depending on what the field provides or what the conditions may be.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the different drivers do. A few drivers taking an opportunity to head out there on a set of the medium tyres. Here comes XLTDB. He's doing that. I imagine, given how high downforce for nature of the circuit is, the top 10 will all have to be on a set of the soft tyres. I think we are going to struggle to get any of the anyone getting into the top 10 on the set of mediums. That's not to say if they do it, of course. They will be looking very handy and very healthy indeed for a fantastic performance in this race. We have got a new reserve, well, we've got a couple of new drivers actually with us tonight. We've got Elite NL Dave in the Alfa Romeo. He's a reserve driver, I believe. And we've also got NRX Sonoda going full time in the Aston Martin. So he'll be hoping he can do slightly better than his namesake has in Formula 1. And I suppose as a reserve driver or someone coming in halfway through the season, there's a bit less pressure off you. You've got to obviously try and impress for the future season, for next year if you do decide to sign up, but you know that you're not going to chance of taking the championship, so you don't have that to worry about.
Sure, you're just looking to impress and maybe jump up or jump down to say, I'm a threat in the field. And I personally think there's like less pressure, but a little bit more in some way, because there's less and there's no championship, but at the same time, you're so unrewatched. If you start making mistakes, then people aren't really going to care. So it's kind of, you have to hit the ground running at least to make yourself kind of a threat. But if you just kind of start kind of stinking up the joint, then it's kind of like, all right, he joined halfway through just to be a moving chicane, like a pay driver or something, even though there's no pay drivers in this league, but a metaphorical just moving chicane.
Yeah, certainly. We'll see what the drivers can do. One man who hasn't been a moving chicane this season is XL Zoidema, so we're following around on a lap of the Silverstone circuit, changed in 2010 with the new pit lane used in 2011, so Abbey and Farm now the first part of the circuit. AMG just getting off the racing line there as Zoidema heads into the village and then the loop. You might see the odd driver go for a move at this part of the circuit. Crucial that you get nice and early on the throttle. Bit of wheel spin there for Zoidema through Aintree and have a DRS open as you come down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands there, and you will see a lot of drivers battling through this part of the circuit into Brooklands and through Luffield as well, especially in the race. You'll see a variety of lines taken through there. Nice and steady though from our championship leader at this moment in time. Flat out through Woodcut as we head now to Copse Corner, a corner where absolutely nothing controversial has happened in modern Formula 1 history. Nice and flat through here now for a modern Formula 1 car, because we come up to probably one of the most challenging parts on the calendar for any driver. Maggett, Beckett and Chapel flat through the first parts, left it off through the penultimate and then braking hard as you come through Chapel. Flat on the throttle once again, down the Hanger Straight, scene of that famous battle with Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet, and astonish him 34 years ago now. Down into Stowe at the end of the second DRS straight, not a massive braking zone there, so again it does present an opportunity for the driver on the outside to sort of give it a go into Vale and into Club as well. Nice and careful through this part of the circuit for Zoidema. We'll expect him to go fastest as he is on the soft tyres, and it is a 1:26.711. Unsurprisingly that he was the fastest of everyone in every single sector, as TDB and Neymar did set their times on the mediums.
That is true indeed. The only thing he didn't have was a best purple sector 1. That was going to Nathan Berserk in the AlphaTauri, but he didn't validate, so that's only going to be a fast purple sector 1 for him. So it does look like some other drivers do have some pace in their cars today. And I do just want to say that was a great one-lap commentary from a person that has experience doing one-lap commentaries. A little cheeky nudge and a reference. But anyway, though, going through the rest of qualifying here, we got some other drivers trying to set some times here, but no one really lighting up the tables per se. Phoenix has got 2 greens on his mediums, but no real major pole runs challenging Zudima, as it looks like one of the Ferraris, Carway Rob, has lost it.
Yeah, Carwin Rob then gets it wrong coming into the loop. I was going to say he's one of the drivers to watch out maybe on that set of the soft tyres, as the majority of the field has gone for the mediums at this moment in time. We'll go on board with Charlie Harris. He's slightly faster than Zoidema coming through the first sector. So unlucky last time around with D-Sync, and sort of obviously got a feel for Charlie. We've sort of got a feel for TDB as well. I imagine, even though it wasn't his fault, he did feel a bit guilty for completely accidentally, taking Charlie out the race. As there was a car lost it just in front of Charlie there. I think it was one of the Alpines. It was Tibos, and that definitely put the Red Bull driver off slightly.
It was Tibos indeed, but yeah, it also happened in the TTML Sim Race 1 with, I want to say it was one of the Mercedes. It was Bugner or Scott Harris, and it was one of them. They desynced and they gave Kaiser a little bit of trouble because he pushed him off the formation lap. You were actually in the race, and you would have pushed him off the formation lap, and then with 2 to go, he did shove him off the track. Gave him kind of a light little argy-bargy in Austria. So it can happen in this game. It seems like desyncing is still a problem you're going to see, and hopefully it doesn't affect too much more in the season. Hopefully either it kind of gets fixed over, at the very least doesn't happen often.
Yeah, hopefully we don't see too much more of that. Let's go on board with Dave, one of the debutants this time around in the Alfa Romeo. Phoenix there, I believe that is, or Tom. That is Phoenix getting well out of the way. Not a bad lap from Neymar. He's fastest man on the mediums at the moment with a 1:27.415. TDB looks as though he is going to go for a set of softs on his next lap. He's currently the fastest driver on that set of the mediums, but we'll follow Dave round Vale and Club. Final few corners. Such a fast circuit here at Silverstone. He heads towards the line, slots himself into 6th place at the moment. So Zyderman and AMG, two fastest at the moment. It is in a big lap, big gap I should say, back to TDB. But I think once we start seeing more drivers come out on their soft tyres, once we see drivers like Tibos, Carwin Robb and Charlie Harris get a clean run in, we'll see things close up ever so slightly. Still 11.25 minutes to go.
What's worth noting is right now, technically, all 3 different drivers hold the purple Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3, with Harris having the purple Sector 1, Zudima having the purple Sector 2, and AMG having the purple Sector 3. So it does show that not one driver is dominating every sector. So I do think qualifying will get a lot closer, as Neymar, I think, just finished lap, started lap on his medium, so he's all the way up to P3 on a set of mediums, which is kind of interesting to note, but we still have the field to go. It could easily jump down, but that is a pretty fast time, considering he's on mediums.
Yeah, and that was his third lap actually on that set of mediums where he set that faster time, improving by about 0.3 of a second. It's something you can do here. I've seen drivers, they have managed to do practically the entire race distance on a set of medium tyres, begging for a late safety car. So I know normally we're like, oh, you don't want to be starting on 2-lap-old tyres, don't want to be starting on 3-lap-old tyres. It's not a major issue around the Silverstone circuit, despite going through quite a lot of tyre wear, because they probably bring their 3 hardest tyres here. Doesn't cause that much of a problem. Scott Buckner, or ADRT Scott_B7, he has joined the, I believe that's the Dictos Racing team, so new name for him tonight, invalidated on his first lap. And we are seeing, it is drivers like Scott, for example, Charlie, his teammate as well, that have sort of built their way into the season and are now starting to put in those good performances.
Yep, again, it's always, I always use analogies like every week, but it's like a pitcher on the mound. You go out there, you just got to start throwing down the pitch and keep throwing it down the striking zone. The more batters you get out, the more confidence you get in your pitching, and the more swagger you have, you could say. So as a driver, as long as you keep putting down consistent results, you'll show some more results and say, and be kind of go faster to a degree and feel more confident. But it's the same in the reverse, where a negative feedback loop, you say, where if you crash out and keep making mistakes, keep throwing away things, like you say, like Tibos, for instance, this whole season, that eventually it's gonna be so hard to get back going that you're gonna be, by the time you maybe get out of your rut, it's either too little too late, or you're gonna be going down a series.
Yeah, definitely. So drivers, of course, with it being such a short season, can't afford to make too many mistakes. Just a few yellow flags for drivers backing up on their next laps. I believe TDB is one of the first out there, and he's on a set of soft tyres, only 9 thousandths of a second faster through the first sector, so didn't find quite a lot of time there. We'll see what he can do for the soft at this part of the circuit. He'll definitely be looking to challenge his teammate in this qualifying session, whether he'll be challenging him in the race with the championship on the line. Williams looking very handy indeed at the moment as TDB comes through sector number 2 at the moment. He's green again, so not purple. This is definitely going to put him, I'd imagine, in the high 126s at this moment in time, perhaps just behind AMG. We'll see what he's like through the final parts of the circuit. Then heading into Vale and Club now. We've seen plenty of drivers try to go side by side through here. You've got to be nice and careful, and you've got to give each other room, otherwise it can very, very quickly go wrong. And there we go, TDB does slot in on a 126.856, just behind F1 AMG.
Yep, that is indeed looking at every other strategy right now. Everyone, even Neymar's going to be going out in the soft soon, because I just saw he did make the quick switch. But the only driver still out there on a set of mediums right now is the Ferrari of David Schaff and Carway Robb. They're both going for a medium run here. So it's kind of an odd strategy choice to say, because even the runners high up on the field on a set of softs have bailed on that run and want to go for a set on the softs, I can say, a set of mediums. And really, right now, we do got some drivers like Sway. It looks like they have a purple sector 1, and we also got Zudima. So Zudima looking like he can improve. So if we take a look, as he's going through the last couple corners, he's not even barely a 10th up on his times. So he is going to prove the very least, and it's going to be a new pole run time with a 126.674. So not much of an improvement, but could be that just a little bit harder for as now Sonoda goes P2. So kind of pulls it out of the bag, you could say. And I was just gonna say, almost just could have got just jumped by Sonoda if he didn't improve.
Yeah, so good lap there by both of those drivers. We are starting to see a few more fast times coming in now. Sway was fastest of everyone in the first sector and was actually set a personal best in the second sector. If you're wondering where we get these times from, it's from the IGK TAS system. So a big thanks to T-Bold and everyone at IGK for providing that. You can use !help in the chat to find the latest information, and that will come up in the live chat section, not the top chat. If you are looking for those commands, as Sway finds a big improvement on that set of soft tyres, gets himself up into 3rd place, starting to look very close at the top of the standings all of a sudden.
Yep, indeed. I know Silverstone's one of those tracks that could be very close qualifying. I remember from last year, I think I did a race for D4, D5 with current TT1 commentator. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but James Head. Yeah, we did commentary with him, and very close. So Silverstone's a track that can provide very close runs if everyone can get it right, because it's kind of, there are places you can make a mistake, but getting a clean run, it's very hard to kind of find those little extra improvements. It's easy to lose time, but not gain time per se.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit like in the race. It's very easy to lose the race on the lap 1, but a bit harder to take the victory. As Charlie Harris now, he goes fastest of everyone. He was looking good over softs earlier, but had to bail out of the run because of TDB's issues. So we're starting to see a few more quick times now.
I didn't want to cut you off there. I just want to finish the point that Nathan has crashed just out of Sector 2 there. I think, Ferrari's about to cross him. Yeah, he crashed in a similar spot where Verstappen actually crashed with Hamilton. You can see him off on the left of the road there just before the entry to back into habits. And, he's crashed, so that's definitely not going to help him. Needing kind of a strong run here to kind of catapult himself back into the championship. He's going to be behind the 8 ball at the very least. Going to be at least P11, but with a 1:42 as his only time, it's probably going to be P16 if everyone else can put down a time.
Yeah, you can imagine if everyone sets a clean time, there's absolutely no chance he's surviving in 11th place at this moment. The alternate strategy can work around this circuit, but nowhere near as powerful as it is at some others, especially where we went at the start of the season in Bahrain. David Shahud just coming around the final couple of corners now on the set of medium tyres. What is it going to be? 127.372. Not a bad lap on the medium. Suggests that if he does go on the soft, he could manage to find himself a bit of pace. As we do look now at one of the drivers that is going quicker. It is the Red Bull of Scott Bogner. Purple of everyone in Sector 1. Red Bull, a bit like we're seeing in real life, they're really starting to find some pace when it matters.
Yeah, indeed. They are trying to find pace as well here. We'll see where he slots up. Just remembered he does have the name change, so I was looking for Bugner on the lane list. I'm like, oh yeah, name change. So, yeah, we'll see how he puts his time down here. He has now got a green Sector 2, though, so not purple, but still could be definitely up there. Maybe could jump Sudima or his own teammate, or even Sonoda. So we'll see where he slots in, coming through the last couple corners here. Needs to keep it clean per se. Not easy to invalidate, but definitely if you try to go for the extra time, the back end could kick out right here. Going through the last corner, gets a little squirrel of understeer there. Got it saved. It's going to be a 127.103, and that's only going to be P7. So I do wonder if that little undercut did cost him maybe a 6 or 5 there. Maybe at least a 10th.
Yeah, he was a 10th and a bit down on his teammate in the middle sector, but a whopping 4 tenths down in that final sector. So even if you take quarter of a second off his time, he's right up into the AMG TDB territory there. So we'll be hoping he can prove later on. Neymar was invalidated on his first run on a set of the soft tyres, has just about got enough time to come in and get on another set of softs, or might choose to carry on that one, of course. We'll see what Neymar does. Got pole position at Italy. Did spin when he looked like he might have a chance to get the podium, and there we go. Neymar is diving into the pits, and not long to go in this qualifying session. Charlie Harris, Zoidema, Sonoda, Sway, AMG, your top 5 at this moment in time. We've still got, there's some big names down there yet to set a time, especially Tibos and Carvin Wobb.
Yep, they second the championship standings. We know Tibos is fast. Tibos is going out for, I assume, his final run here with about 4 minutes to go. That's probably actually 3 minutes to go now, so 3:30. So he's going to have about, yeah, this is basically his last run. So if you're heading out now, this is your last chance. Scott's going to be coming in this time by. So this is going to be Sonoda's last run and Tibos, and we're probably going to see in the next minute and a half. If you want to go out there and put one more run down, you're going out there. So we're going to probably see most of the field take a long run to the pit lane in about maybe 30 to a minute time.
Yeah, I always tend to think around the 2.5 minute mark is where you see a lot of drivers dive out the pits, mean they can afford to space the sim out if they need to, of course. Tibos is going quite rapid for an outlap at the moment, and you're wondering why we're showing drivers on an outlap. There's no one on a hot lap at this moment in time, as there is a bit of a heat haze there coming to beacon the fans in the grandstands on the exit of Cops as Tibos flies his way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It's 7th in the championship at the moment, but given the pace he's had, surprising that he's not managed to get on the podium yet.
I mean, he's just had horrible luck. He's been snake bitten, like I said, and it's a negative feedback loop. He's just been snake bitten, and he's trying to fix it, and he's got more snake bitten, and he's been trying to fix it. It's just, you gotta eventually get that one strong performance, and it may not be enough to win the championship this season because of that early mistakes, but it could be enough to very least to keep it going. As they now got Yellow Flag Sector 1, I think that is his teammate, though. I hope that's not Tibos. No, it is not Tibos. It would be his teammate just up the road going a little bit slow in the Alpine of Sway. But the one thing that could actually hurt Tibos, what I was thinking about, is Sonoda, who's currently flying, was able to avoid all the drivers coming out. But with Tibos coming out just in behind his teammate, he's going to come out in a little bit of traffic. So hopefully that does not impede his lap too much, you could say. As Sonoda's about to go through Maggots and Beckets, he's got a green Sector 1, and so does Tibos. So they're both green, but no purple. About to hit the end here. It's another green for Sonoda as well, so he's definitely looking to improve. But I don't know if it's going to be enough to jump into the top 2, but we'll see how far he can improve.
Yeah, well, he is actually, he's faster than Charlie Harris in the middle sector. Very wide though at Stowe, and you can't get away with that like you used to be able to on some of the previous Formula 1 games. Has got enough time to get another run in, but I wonder if that will actually be the end of Sonoda. It does look like he has really backed off here, so I think that could be it then for his session. So we'll go on board then with Tibos, green in Sector 1, yet to set a time, so that was fairly obvious, of course. Good time in Sector 2 as well. He's going to be up and around where his teammate is at this moment in time, so this is looking really good news for the French team. Alpine could be flying their way up the order. You could argue that blue, white and red may be representing Great Britain this weekend. The team's factory, of course, based in Enstone in Oxfordshire, as Tibos comes around the final corner. What's it going to be for his one and only shot in qualifying? Gets himself just ahead of Sonoda into third position. Top 3 drivers separated by less than 700ths of a second.
Sonoda probably kicking himself there because his run probably would have kept him safe in P3, but now he's going to be on the second row outside instead of second row inside. Could fall down the third row if Sway has anything to say about it. He's currently on a flyer as well, so we'll see where he slots in along with the rest of the field. So Sonoda kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit, and with such close time between Sway, AMG, the Williams with TDB, Scott as well, Neymar, all barely within each other, he could easily fall down to 8th or 9th if he's not careful.
Yeah, it could get very close indeed. Zuidema has gone fastest of everyone in the first sector. We came on board with him there, going a bit wide through Loffield, but you can sort of get away with that on this circuit. Sway's not improving. Obviously, we've got Dressy. Pardon me, he's invalidated, so not going to be seeing much from him. We're seeing a few green times, but lighting up the timing streets in purple as the checkered flag comes out in this session is Zuidema. David Shahud decided to stay in the pits. That is very strange. He's hoping he can stay in the top 10 on those medium tyres, but if we see some improvements from Phoenix and Tom, that is going to change things quite dramatically. As again purple in the second sector. He's now been beaten in that first sector by Neymar, but the Williams looking really good here to displace Charlie Harris, who has not improved. He's a 100th down in Sector 1. Is the British driver in the Red Bull? What can Zuidema do? Could he maybe even become the first driver to get into the 126.5s here at Silverstone? Around the final corner in the Williams, and it is a 126.526 from Zuidema, but we have got Neymar looking pretty quick behind.
Yeah, we do got Neymar as well. He's going for the last corner. He's 4 attempts up in his times. If we subtract that, going into a situation that would put him in the 7/10ths range, 126.7. So he could be around Sonoda, but if he can find some extra time in the third sector, maybe go purple, he could jump. We got a lot of times going green as well. We have Tom jumping to the P10, so the Ferrari is going to be in P11. Neymar up to P2 with a 570. Not going to be enough. Looking at the rest of the times, you're trying to judge everyone else here. We do got TDB as well. We'll see where he puts it. He'll be P3. So a lot of improvements as well. I think he's pretty much the last driver unless Phoenix, Bugner. I think Bugner just jumped up to 10, and I think that's basically it unless I'm noticing anyone else. Yeah, that is the end of qualifying.
Yeah, that is the end of qualifying. Quite a rapid end. Charlie Harris retired in that session. We just watched Corwin Robb set a time that puts him in 9th place, but it is Zuidema on pole position for the first time this season. Can he convert that into a second win, or even just a 5th podium would leave him looking very handy. It's another front row start for Neymar. TDB continuing his resurgence with 3rd place. Charlie Harris is 4th. Tibos in 5th. AMG 6th. Sonoda 7th on his debut. Sway is 8th. Scott B7 in 9th place. Corwin Robb rounding out the top 10. Tom, not a bad place to be starting. 11th place on that set of the fresh tyres that he'll be able to choose. David Chahud was 12th on the medium, so bit of an unknown what pace he could put in. The Ferrari driver only scored points once this season. Dave 13th on debut. Phoenix is 14th. Nathan actually managed to get 15th despite crashing out because Dressy did not set a time. But those Williams drivers, well, I've got to say both Williams drivers, they're looking absolutely astounding at the moment. TDB in 3rd and a first pole position for Zuidema.
That is the reason why they're leading the constructors right now. But something that came to mind is that, yep, Sonoda did shoot himself kind of in the metaphorical foot by invalidating, because he probably would have still been P3 or P4 looking at the times real fast. But now down to P7, he was on the 2nd row of the grid, now going to be in the 4th row of the grid. So definitely going to have some work for the driver indeed. I was going to say nationality, but I'm not 100% what nationality he is. But Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting to see. I think Sudim is looking good, and the Williams are looking good to at least have another strong performance here today.
Yeah, certainly. Strategy, as we said earlier, you'd imagine it's going to be soft mediums if you're in the top 10, medium softs if you're outside. But if you feel like you can get some overtaking done, you might be tempted to start on the softs. Hard tyres, I think we're only going to see them if anyone gets damage on lap 1 or there is an early safety car. We are now just waiting to see what can happen then as we head into the race at Silverstone, the historic Silverstone circuit based on a former World War II airfield. First race here was 1948, but of course it's most famous for the one it held in 1950, May the 13th, 1950, where Giuseppe Farina took the first ever World Championship victory. The three hardest types of tyres are used here, the C3, C2 and the C1 tyres, and we've seen plenty of fantastic action over here. British drivers tending to do well. It's a circuit that Lewis Hamilton absolutely loves, and Johnny Herbert got his first ever victory in Formula 1 here in 1995. Not as fast as it used to be in those days, but still an incredibly fast circuit as well. 5.891 kilometres, 3.660 miles, with those challenging 18 corners and the 2 DRS zones. Let's not forget we have got another straight now. We've got the Hamilton Straight, which got renamed this season. Those are the tyres everyone has gone for. Surprised that we're actually only seeing 2 drivers on the mediums outside the top 10.
Yeah, indeed. Different strategies indeed here. Definitely shocking, but maybe some drivers think the softs is the better ideology, or they think maybe they can try to work the rest of the field. But honestly, as someone that used to, again, sim race would agree, I honestly never felt comfortable taking on the mediums. It always felt like a safety car was going to come out as soon as I put on the mediums. So I kind of get where the rest of the field is coming from, because you don't want to be off camber, next thing you know in a one stop, then you have to jump to a set of hards or be kind of caught out there on the mediums and not lose a free pit stop. So I kind of see where they're coming from, but if you're starting 15th or 16th, you have to try something to get off camber.
Yeah, I think they maybe perhaps don't want to get caught out by some of those earlier on, and with how many drivers actually went for the mediums earlier, not too many free sets, so obviously wanting to keep at least one for the race. If I was David or Dave, I'd definitely be thinking, if there is an early safety car, maybe just do one lap on a set of the soft tyres and then come in and put a set of the mediums on again, because that is rule in Formula 1. You have to use 2 different types of dry tyres. Can't just do one of those laps under safety car conditions. So might be something to think about if we do get an early safety car this season. We've tended to get them late on, and I'm sure Zoidema, Neymar, TDB will be hoping that we don't get too many safety cars around here and that we have a nice, clean race. Can see some chaos, especially into Village and the Loop. Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Räikkönen coming together in 2018. Hopefully, though, all these drivers manage to negotiate it nice and cleanly, as we are waiting then for the lights to come on here at Silverstone. 5 lights. We're underway then for the British Grand Prix. What are the starts like? It's a pretty decent start there from Zoidema. You've got TDB trying to challenge Neymar as well. Neymar's around. Big spin from him. Huge accidents in the background. Plenty of debris coming up. And we have got a virtual safety car. Nathan out of the race already. Plenty of cars with damage. I know Charlie Harris was involved in that. You've got one of the Alpines, and it's Tibos again. He's got big damage. Drama. I said it might happen by the time we got into Village. It actually happened before then, as it came through Abbey and Farm.
That was the most sketchy thing. Neymar just the back, as far as I could tell, Neymar, the back end just kicked out. And once the back end kicked out, he was gone as a passenger. And next thing you know, he was going right in front of the field. And I think in a real life race, that would have been that. He would have been done. But I think he actually may have some back wing damage. But if he doesn't have any damage, shows the damage model isn't the strongest in the world, because in real life, that would have been race over for him and probably a half the field. But luckily, I wouldn't say luckily for Nathan, but he's the only driver out. And honestly, where he crashed, I'm not 100% if he was involved in that, because he was just off one before the turn in. So I wonder if something else may have happened, or maybe a chain reaction. But yeah, very odd indeed that the only driver out is Nathan, but even Neymar gets to survive, even though he kind of backed in front of the field.
Yeah, we have, of course, we've gone from a virtual safety car to a full safety car, and we said earlier those medium tyres can last a long time, so we might see drivers coming in on lap 1 here, especially if you're on a set of the softs, putting on the mediums and then taking those towards the end of the race. So we'll see if any of the drivers do decide to take this pit stop. And there we go, Zoidema comes into the pits. TDB deciding it's not worth losing out on the double stack, and I think that's Zoidema the only driver that is coming into the pits, giving up the race lead. Then he's going to find himself at the back of the field, but not having to pit. He'll have a bit of tyre management to do, but with how long of a pit lane this is, and I'm expecting more drivers to take that free pit stop option, as we have actually got those that were involved in the incident coming in as well. Charlie, Dressy, Tibos, and Neymar.
Maybe they're thinking, no offense, maybe they think there'll be another safety car. I mean, one safety car just happened there, so maybe they're thinking, there may be another safety car will come out. Or they just think that they know for a fact that Sudima and the rest aren't going to be able possibly to make it, because we do see Tibos, Desiree, and Neymar going on a set of hards, but maybe they're banking on another safety car. Maybe they're banking that those tires aren't going to make it, and everyone's going to have to pit again. So they think that the soft to medium strategy waiting will be faster than pitting now and trying to struggle on the end on a set of mediums or a set of hards.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting indeed. And for the first time this game that I've seen it, we've got the Aston Martin safety car that they added in on the update as Portimao. So obviously I only get to see it on selected circuits. It is now TDB leading this race. Second race in a row he's been leading, whether he can convert it to a second victory. AMG up in second. We'll have a look at the position changes because it will just show what a chaotic first lap that was. Obviously, biggest losers, Neymar involved in that incident, Charlie, Tibos, Zoidema now that is coming to the pits. We've got Scott going up 6 places and Phoenix going up 6 places. So it might have been a bad lap for one of the Red Bulls, but Scott doing a very good job indeed. Don't write him off, perhaps converting what was a first podium last time out. Might even see him get his first victory here.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just taking a quick look at the replay using the stream function here, and I was kind of curious to see what exactly again happened to Nathan. Again, maybe beating a dead horse, but I was generally curious. As far as I can tell, it looks like he may have gotten maybe collided with Elite trying to make a pass, and then went backwards going off into one. So he was not even involved in that crash with Neymar. So he had his own little incident in the back of the field. So his DNF was not in result with Neymar's crash. So very odd indeed, and you can say very unlucky indeed as well. But yeah, anyway, though, back to your point about AWT Scott, and that, yeah, looking maybe to get another podium for the Red Bull boys and try to help themselves in the constructors.
Yeah, good. Looking pretty good in the constructors at the moment, and now that we've had, well, a Red Bull involved in an incident at the start and a Williams coming to the pits at the start, even though Zoidema wasn't involved in the incident, so they've kind of both got one at the front of the field. Alpine in a similar situation with Sway in 4th and Tibos again having that bad luck at the front of the field, as yeah, Charlie Harris also going onto a set of the medium tyres. This safety car is obviously going to help them last towards the end of the race, but it's going to be good news for the soft, for those that have started on the softs, is they're going to go pretty fresh. I think we could even see the drivers that started on the softs, as it looks very dusty out there offline on the circuit. I imagine a lot of that was brought up onto the track given the chaos we had through the first couple of corners. Expect drivers that are on the soft tyres now probably to pit at the earliest lap 9 or lap 10, as a TDB doing his best Lewis Hamilton impression here, trying to get the safety car to speed up. I'm not sure he's going to listen to you, my friend.
I don't think he will. If you bump it, I think that'll be the end of TDB's, I would say, race here today. So he's got to be patient. But I know from experience under some games, like even iRacing on ovals, where it's like safety car goes 45. He's like, come on, go faster. Come on, I want to do other things today. And that may be the same thing here. He wants to keep some heat in those tires. And honestly, I don't think he wants to be here too long. But yeah, I honestly think right now, kind of throw a prediction out there, is I think the winner of this race, or the finisher of this race that's going to finish the best, is going to be someone that didn't pit during that pit stop. I honestly think they're more in the catbird seat than Zudima coming in than the rest. But that is just my 2 cents if everything holds.
I think it's going to be pretty close. We're not going to know just how we enjoy it really here at TTML. We're not going to find out, I think, really until the last 2 or 3 laps, who's going to end up taking this victory here. It is going to be so close towards the end. We'd expect the safety car to be coming in on this lap any minute now. We're going to see the lights come out on that safety car, and then for TDB at least, he'll be pretty glad that it does speed up, as they do actually. There we go. Safety car going away. It is now up to TDB to get this restart right. Not a bad circuit to try and get the restart done here, as it's, you don't really give a driver too much of a slipstream into that turn 1, as they've not got a long chance to follow you on the straight. So we'll just see how he plays it here. Might be one to watch out for as well is David Chahud. He's up to 7th on that set of the medium tyres. They will be a fresh set, so if he can hang in there with those drivers ahead of him, he could be one to look at for the alternate strategy later on. And still TDB controlling the field round. I think I pretty much know what he's going to do.
Just took evasive action there because kind of missed the corner there, and now he's going to have to re-evase, and now he's going 6-7. Now he's in the ground trap. Sorry to cut you off, but also gave TDB a 5-second time penalty as well.
Well, that's interesting indeed. It doesn't look like, from my point of view, that TDB was doing anything about it, but he's now got a 5-second penalty, which means on track at least, he's going to find it very difficult to take the victory after the penalty has been applied today. But he's got a pretty good restart apart from that. Scott is now in 2nd, Sway in 3rd, Sonoda diving it down the inside there of Carvin. Rob was trying to fight back, almost a bit of contact between those two. The Ferrari driver losing it ever so slightly in all of that. Further back down the field, Charlie Harris trying to get some moves up the order, trying to use those medium tyres at the moment to get ahead of the hard runners, and that is going to be absolutely crucial as Phoenix managed to get his way past David Chahoud. Unsurprisingly, if you've got the softer tyres, they are working much better at this moment in time, as that is a yellow flag, and I think that is just AMG travelling slowly. Very strange, we didn't see it happen on our end. Did he just completely misjudge the line into Vale and Club?
From what I saw is TTB, he was behind TTB, and then he just kind of went straight per se. So I think he did kind of miss the line here, because then it says he did pause and unpause, so 10 seconds after. So it does make me wonder, maybe something distracted him, maybe something happened on that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sonoda's had a massive moment coming from Chapel, and Carvin Robs had to really be wide awake there to try and avoid that one. Just thankfully, he's now up into 4th, but slightly slower reactions there. That would have been another enormous accident and very possibly a safety car.
Yep, indeed. But just to finish my point, AMG real fast. Yeah, he's still going very slow here. Looks like he's got all his wing on though, so either he's not at the seat right now, or he's just kind of putt-putting around on AI. But it did say he unpaused, so I'm not 100%.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Up at the front though, these top 2 drivers absolutely flying away at this moment in time. As Sonoda's got it completely wrong coming through Abbey and Farm, and now Tom's round.
It was Tom. Yep, Tom got kind of, I would say, pinched a little bit by that car ahead of him. I think it was the Ferrari, and there was nowhere for him to go. Looked kind of cleanish, but just kind of nowhere to go, just spun it. And Sonoda could not take 1-2 correctly. He just went completely off. Luckily, again, he's had 2 very scary moments indeed. Luckily, Sonoda's case and his team's sake, that car is still in one piece, because lesser drivers, that would have been that race over. And now Zadima, on those mediums, is already caught up to pass Dave and is on the back of Sonoda, so he's making those works. As now AMG, even though technically not here, I think, just got 5 for speeding in the pit lane, so a bit odd indeed.
Yeah, man. Charlie Harris has also got a drive-through penalty. There's a drive-through penalty for severe collision with IFL Dressy, and I went on board with Dressy, and he doesn't look in too bad of a state at this moment in time. So I'm not quite sure what has happened there. And Charlie Harris doesn't show any damage on his car, so couldn't have been that severe. I wonder if there's been a bit of a glitch with the yellow flags happening there.
Maybe, and I think about it is that, have you ever seen in the past games a severe collision drive-through? It's always been like a time penalty, like a 5 or 10 seconds. I've never seen it actually trigger a drive-through, so bit odd. Yeah, it's usually for like speeding in the safety car. Sorry to finish my point. Yeah, speeding in the safety car, or like doing something like in the pit lane. That's where you get a drive-through, not really for collisions. Yeah, that's the only time. I was about to say the only time I've seen drive-throughs on this game is for, like you said, safety car infringements. AMG's parked on the well, he's now spun it round, so I'm not quite sure what's happening with AMG, and he retires from the session. So a bit of a disaster for him. Scott is all over the back of TDB here, even without this 5-second penalty. TDB might be having a bit of problems taking the victory in this race, because Scott is absolutely flying at the moment and doesn't have to worry about anyone behind him. He's got about 30% more ERS as well. He's not going to get the move done into Brooklands, but I think on the Hangar Straight, he's going to try and fly and get away, of course. But the dirty air around here means it's not the easiest to overtake into Stowe, and it's not a massive braking zone either, so you've pretty much got to be alongside the car before you even get into the corner, as he's not going to think about one outside of Cop. Surely not. We've already seen what can happen if you try that with a Mercedes engine car versus a Red Bull earlier on this season. He definitely looks the faster, though, of these lead two, and I think he wants to get this move done before perhaps Sway, Carvin Rob, and some of these others start to catch up. Yeah, I don't want the train to catch you. I would say if he had a big enough gap, he could just wait behind for the pit stops to make the pass there. But obviously, yeah, with the train coming, you need to make that pass quickly. And there goes Scott, going to put the little pinchy pinch, and there he goes. Scott ahead of TDB, and just in the distance, I think the Ferrari Rob was thinking about maybe doing something, but just a little bit too far back. But if he gets close enough the Alpine, we'll see if he decides to shove it up the inside here. It's going to be interesting. No, he'll just tuck back in line. So he needs to get going, because right now, Sway is now about to be within 1 second. So if Scott doesn't get a move on, Sway and that train will come, and then next thing you know, Phoenix will be there as well. And Carwin Hub just into the fast lap of the race. That pack is flying. Even Wow Zudim as well getting the fast lap. Yeah, so he's definitely not saving those mediums at this moment in time. He's either A, planning another pit stop, which, given how long a pit stop is around here, seems a bit of a daft move, or he just has full confidence that they'll be able to get to the end, even at this blistering pace at the moment. You'd still expect those on the soft tyres to be faster at this moment in time. TDB nowhere near as close to Scott as the Red Bull driver was on the back of the Williams last time around, so it suggests TDB is perhaps struggling ever so slightly. I mean, last lap around, he was 0.5 of a second slower. His best lap is 0.6 of a second slower than Scott's lap, and also both of those front two drivers were slower than Sway, Carvin Rob, in fact slower than the entire field down to Sonoda. So just shows perhaps how much TDB was holding Scott up, and we'll see how it goes now that they've all got behind. The bad news for Rob is
maybe he's missed his chance of getting ahead of Sway, because he's, of course, now going to have the DRS off these 2 cars ahead.
Yeah, indeed. Something else that caught my eye was looking at these stats here as well, is that I'm not coming up. Tibos's hards are about the same wear right now as Zudima's mediums. So as now Sonoda gets through from all 3 warnings, but that is something worth noting. Zima is running about the same pace as some of the hard runners, including Charlie Harris. Oh, Charlie Harris on mediums, but he's running about the same tire wear as the hard runners of Neymar and Tibos. So if Tibos and Neymar look good to make it to the end, it's now TDB is now pitting. So coming in a little early on lap 6, about 28% wear, Sway on 31. So interesting him take the hard right now, but to finish my point, it is worth noting that Zudima is taking his hards, mediums, about the same wear as some of the hard runners.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive undercut then from TDB, and you're just getting an impression here of how long this pit lane is at Silverstone. He's going to come a long way down the order, as that is Sonoda around again, coming through Abbey and Farm. He's definitely shown some pace, but a bit like his namesake, just a bit erratic at the moment. Comes out on track in 11th place, ahead of Dress 8. As long as they both finish, though, Aston Martin will get their first points of the season, as further up the order, Colin, Rob and Sway have been battling, and we've also got Dave around.
Yeah, just say Dave spun there. I just want to finish by one thing about Sonoda. He's probably somewhere in the distance right now. You can hear Mashiro with some very sad Mashiro noises. But other than that, though, yeah, Neymar going to pass right now. Tom on the inside. Can he hold this position on? Yes. Ooh, McLaren holds his nerve around the outside. We got a side-by-side battle here between Tom and Neymar here. Neymar not going to give up. They're going to go probably similar to what happened to Hamilton and Verstappen, hopefully not the same outcome, but it looks like the Mercedes is going to get the McLaren driver, put the Neymar up to 8th, put Toman down to 9th.
Yeah, Neymar, of course, was quite far ahead at the inside there, so I don't think there was a lot Tom could do to try and hang that around the outside. These soft runners, the safety car doesn't seem to have helped them one bit at this moment in time. Scott's almost a second ahead of Carvin Rob at the moment. None of those top 3 drivers coming into the pits. We'll see further back if any of these soft runners decide to come in, as Tom using the DRS down the inside into Stowe. He says thank you very much. This battling not helping either of them with their tyre wear, not helping either of them with their time, but it is fantastic viewing for us. Tom is now up into 8th place. Neymar back down into 9th position. Zoidema, this blistering pace we're seeing earlier on, he's not able to catch up and get him a DRS of those ahead. He's still about 2 seconds behind Phoenix in 5th position at this moment in time, and he will be put in quite a bit of wear through those tyres, but he's done 6 laps at the moment. He's only on 13% on that front left. This is looking pretty good for getting these towards the end in still a good condition.
Yeah, indeed. Something else is catching my eye right now is TDB is getting held up by a treat by Charlie Harris. He cannot get by Charlie Harris right now. He's on those fresh mediums, and that is costing him time, making that undercut less and less potable, because he was looking like he was going to pass Charlie Harris going into the last couple corners there, but couldn't make it done. So he's still going to stick behind him. Probably will get him here in the long DRS straight. But yeah, to go back to your point on the tires, there's a good chance Zima could make it work. Only at 13%, he's doing better than the hard runners. So it's safe to assume Zima is very conservative on his tires, very angel soft, if you will. And if that's a running trait, that just shows kind of why he's been in good position so far. Consistency on the tires, making them last, can help you in the long run.
Yeah, pretty much like a microcosm of what Formula 1 is about at the moment, managing the cars. It's not about 26 qualifying laps. You've just got to do the best with what you've got. These tyres and the fuel loads will not last if you're going flat out for all of that time. Scott comes into the pits then, and we'll see where he comes out relative to TDB, because his teammate has done an absolutely fantastic job at this moment in time of keeping the Williams driver behind him. Only 6 laps difference with the tyres, so not massively with the tyre wear, and it doesn't look like TDB is going to be close enough to have a go here. Down the hanger straight, Charlie Harris weaving ever so slightly, doesn't want to do that too often, might get himself into trouble, but again the Williams is too far behind, so surely we're going to see Scott here. He is coming out on a set of the mediums. I think he's going to stay in the net lead of this race.
I think he is. That's what's going to happen. Oh, remember, TB also did have that 5-second time penalty you have to take in consideration. So obviously Bugner was going to come out ahead. Sorry, because of the time penalty. But it is worth noting, though, that TDB still can't get past Charlie Harris, so he's not helping himself as well. And I think the gap right now is about 4 seconds to ADB Scott. So it's probably safe to assume that he probably would have came out ahead without that 5-second time penalty. So the undercut would have worked. But because of that time penalty, whether just or not, is really put him behind the 8 ball. Yeah,
and of course, as he's already served that time penalty, unfortunately for him, he will not be able to get it removed. He might be able to take it to the stewards, and if they agree that it was AMG's fault, we might say AMG have a bit of a penalty for next time around. Back towards the actual lead of the race, though. Here we are on board with a man who's looking pretty good at the moment. No penalties for Sway. We'll go through the penalty situation. It is 3 seconds each for Carvin Rob and Sonoda. That will start costing them if there's a late safety car, and that is 2 very late decisions to come into their pits, just about getting it stopped in time for both of them. We're also seeing Phoenix coming in, so I think that means Tom probably going to have to stay out a lap longer on those soft tyres to try and avoid the double stack. Doesn't work well on this game whatsoever. So there we go. We're seeing those drivers coming to the pits. It is now David in the lead on his mediums and Zoidimer, who does not have to pit. Let's not forget, he's now in second.
Well, as far as we know, he can still maybe be so slow that he may decide to pit to go for a set of softs and try to make the run happen, depending how fast he goes. So I wouldn't say it's get pit yet, but if at the very least how he's going now, yeah, it's safe to assume he probably won't take the long run. But considering that, we'll have to see and wait on that front. But at least the Ferrari of David Choff could actually go a little bit longer, considering he's on the mediums. Could go a couple more laps. So the double stack probably wasn't going to happen. But what shocks me right now is Tomid is on 10-lap-old softs and is still just putting out around there and didn't decide to take the hard right with everyone else during that pit stop.
Yeah, well,
maybe because I think Phoenix came in. Sorry. Yeah, I think Phoenix came in. That was the problem.
Yeah, Phoenix came in and he's thinking, I am going to lose, what, another second or two on these tyres, but with the double stack on this game, you're probably talking 3 or 4 seconds, so he decides to stay out there as Carmen Robb has got himself ahead of Scott by going an extra lap longer. That is, well, that's absolutely incredible. Carmen Robb is now into 7th place, into the net lead of this race. Or if he didn't have that 3-second time penalty, that has been it's been a really good, either really good in-laps by those two. Although seeing how close Sway's got as well. Either Scott's made a mistake, took it a bit conservative going into the pit lane, or not had a great in or out lap.
I think it was probably an in or out lap because Rob was going pretty fast there, so it's kind of shocking that per se that he made it work. But I'm going to bet on it being just Rob having a better in and out lap would be my guess, because that usually what's the deciding factor. But now it looks like Scott not too happy, going to take it back and put the Red Bull back up to P's de facto 7 right now. But Rob has to worry about the 3-second time penalty because he has to get around him and kind of distance himself, or else that's going to be at least a couple spots lost.
Yeah, he's got Sway not too far behind him, Phoenix as well, Charlie, even TDB still fairly close, so that could all bunch up within 3 seconds. We'll just quickly change to the leader timing at the moment. You can see Scott 26 seconds behind David Chahoud at the moment. The gap you might want to watch out for is that one to XL Zoidimer, which is about 24 seconds at this moment in time, with 14 laps to go. So he's either got to hope Zoidimer's coming into the pits again, or hope that Zoidimer's tyres absolutely fall off the Pirelli cliff that we hear so often about. Once they're usually on the game, get towards 60-something%, and the drivers really start to struggle with them. Rob thinking about where he can move there, as there is a yellow flag again. I think that is Tsunoda having an issue.
Yep, I was going to say it's one of the Aston Martins there. But kind of look at the tires are, he's only at 21% on his highest tire, which is his front left. And considering that, if I remember correctly, to check his tires real fast, if I could find, that's about 9 laps on the medium. So at 10 laps is about 20% for him. So at the rate he's going, for him to hit 60, it would be lap, quick math, let's say 32 would be at 60%. That's well past the scheduled distance. So yeah, safety car would have to come out for him to really get this bunched up field. So I think my crystal ball prediction of maybe the soft runners are going to be the better ones was a bit wrong, but we'll have to see how those tires hit a metaphorical cliff at 30 or 40, somewhere in the softs.
Yeah, Carmen Robb round the outside at Stowe, then gets himself back up ahead of ADRT Scott on track, and this is not going to be helping these two. Yes, they're going to be getting the DRS, of course, wherever Zoidimer doesn't at the moment, but all this battling, it might just hold them up ever so slightly, and will help, obviously, Sway stay in contact. Phoenix has dropped a bit further behind. TDB, fastest man on that last lap. This battle for 9th, 10th and 11th at the moment. Charlie Harris, we also think, may not have to come into the pits again, as Tsunoda off at Cops this time around. I think he'll be very lucky there if he's got away without any major issues. We'll see on the test system, actually.
He's got a broken wing. He's got a broken wing. Yeah, he's missing an end plate. He's got a broken end plate. Yeah, sorry. End plate broken.
Broken front wing then for Tsunoda. He's only just coming to the pits for a set of hard tyres as well. Really a baptism of fire for him at this moment in time. Back towards Steve. Well, what is one of the biggest battles we're seeing, pretty much the only battle we're seeing out on track at the moment, is Rob, Scott and Sway. Rob gets very close to the national pit straight. Last used in Formula 1 as a pit lane in 2010, even though the new track was built by then. The new pit area down what is now the Hamilton Straight did not come into action until 2011. So let's see what Scott can do. Can he get close enough this time to do what Rob did to him last time around? He's about 3.5 tenths behind, and that seems to be the magic number. If you're within that, it always looks like a fairly straightforward pass. And there we go. Down the hanger straight. Thank you very much. Scott gets himself into 6th place, and it's Sway who's in this really awkward position here. He's got to wait behind and hope these two start battling so much that they send each other offline. Then maybe Sway could bounce.
Yeah, I think indeed if they fight hard enough here, he could easily pounce on the remains here. Now Scott goes fastest though, so it looks like Scott adds pretty much pace there, but you could use the DRS as well. But one other thing that catches my eye though is TDB still hasn't got around Charlie Harris yet, and Charlie Harris just got around Phoenix. So it makes me wonder if Charlie Harris has more pace in that Red Bull than he's letting on, because you would think with him being on 11 lap old mediums, he shouldn't, as TDB almost runs back of Phoenix, you think he shouldn't be able to catch Phoenix and pass Phoenix and keep a gap on TDB, but bit shocking.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job at the moment. Red Bull and Williams, you really got to say, are starting to look the class of the field here in TTML F2. There are plenty of other TTML divisions, of course. F1 and F3 is live right now, and F4 and F5 will be live tomorrow, and we'll be back with EML next week as well to treat you on a Wednesday evening. That tomorrow, next week, it is going around the Interlagos circuit. What am I on about? The Circuit de Catalunya in Spain for the second round of that in the Premier League 1 and League 2. Back towards the lead of the race. David Chahud still staying out there. Oh, massive moment though. Just as we went on board on him coming through club, hit the curb slightly too much on the exit, very close to losing the car completely. And I think that says to me it won't be too long before he's coming in and putting on some softs.
I think indeed, I think he's at 45% on his front left, so I think it's time maybe to make the hard left. Maybe he just wants to hang out there because he knows gap, but he's losing time to all the other field, and a pit stop gap's about 27 seconds. So he probably should consider maybe making the jump soon, as now Carly Robb did just pass Scott, and now gets the fast lap of the race. So Scott and Robb are fighting, and they are slowly rolling in, as there's an Aston Martin still up the field to the left. So if he does retire, there'll be no points for Aston. That's actually Desiree, who's actually up there in that top 5, looking good because of the alternate strategy. But now in the sand pit, that's going to bump everyone else up a spot, and yeah, it kind of stinks for the Aston Martin boys.
And that might be something David's thinking about. Do you take a risk if you go long into this race and there is a safety car? You can come into the pits, get a free pit stop, go onto the soft tyres. You're going to be in the lead of the race all of a sudden, and most likely on the same sets of tyres as everyone else. So do you go for that, knowing that if it goes wrong, chances of you getting any decent amount of points very slim indeed. If it does work out though, you've got a great chance of taking a victory. Seeing how he's on 1% ERS at the moment, I think we're going to see him peeling off towards the right-hand side, coming out of Stowe. And no, actually decides to stay out on circuit. Surprised he's still using a bit of ERS when it is such a low battery level, to be honest. Zoidema to Carvin Rob, that gap is now 23 seconds with 11 laps to go. It's over 2 seconds a lap. So despite the fact that Rob and Scott are gaining, they're not gaining by enough at this moment in time. And as we do another tyre level check on Zoidema, 28% on that front left. He's probably going to be hitting mid to high 50s and not really in a bad enough state to cause himself any serious worries. I think when the other drivers see this performance, they're going to think, there's mediums of a good tyre around Silver, so we should have just come in early when we have the chance. Yeah,
and also considering, again, like I said, with the hards, he's actually doing better than some of the hard runners, only when his name are under him. So even showing that is if you were like smooth on the tires, you can make the mediums work, as Zoidema is showing off. But if you burn them very aggressively, you won't make it work. But back to the point of the Ferrari, though, he is only 1.5 ahead of Zoidema, and considering the fact that there's about a 10-second gap to Tibos, so it's safe to assume, I think it's 10 actually, that's the leader, so interval, yeah, that's what, 10 seconds. So it's safe to assume that even if he does get passed by Zoidema, the Ferrari is going to try that, go as long in the tooth as possible to make it work.
Yeah, well, see what he goes for here. See when he does start thinking about coming into the pits. Charlie staying ahead of Phoenix, and it's TDB who's in that awkward third place in that train. Just can't do anything about it at this moment in time. I think these two will definitely have a chance at Charlie at the end of the race when his tyres start wearing, and that'll be good news for Carvin Rob, who would actually, at the moment, lose out to Sway and just miss out losing out to Charlie Harvey. So he's going to have to watch out for that with that 3-second time penalty. They're sort of in groups of 3, those who went for the more conventional soft to medium strategy at this moment in time. And Scott and Carvin Rob have been swapping lap after lap after lap. This might be the first time we don't see a swap. Is Rob going to go for it? Bit of a late decision there, and I think he realised he was not quite going to get that move done, so had to back out in the end. That's good news for Scott if he can hold on to the lead of this race. They're both on very similar levels of ERS at the moment, and this is ideal for the Scott B, because Sway is probably his main rival at the moment. He's got a car in between them that's got the penalty, and he knows that's just protecting him at this moment in time.
Yeah, indeed, no, Sway just can't get close enough to make a lunge happen, or maybe Sway's playing again conservatively, saving his tires to the end, because Sway, actually, you look at the tire wear, Sway is actually worse on tire wear than the other two, so Sway is not saving that rubber, so he is more aggressive here. So yeah, he's using that car as a buffer here to kind of help him out, knowing that he's got P5 locked. But with them switching back and forth, I wonder if they're trying to use toe for each other, to try to like give themselves a little extra toe off the straight to try to cut in on the gap to the leader. But it isn't really working because over about 10-ish laps right now, 10-ish laps, he's only gained about a second and a half. So really not much time gained by that switch off strategy. It would be a lot if it was like 4 seconds, but not a lot when you're 23 behind.
No, I think it's starting to look like the best they can hope for is maybe catching up to some of those hard runners. Rob is all over the back of Scott, coming through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, but you've got absolutely no chance of making a move through there. He had a big moment coming through Lawfield, ran slightly wide, and I thought that was going to give Sway an opportunity. I think this time we are going to see the swap around. Scott stays on the inside line, pretty much knowing there is nothing he can do, and all the way around the outside, sweeps Carvin Rob back up ahead of the Red Bull, back up into 5th position. Now 6.2 seconds, or 5 seconds I should say, behind Neymar, and about 11 seconds behind Tibos. That might be the one to watch out for at the end of this race. Can those mediums of Rob and Scott, can they last good enough to catch up to Tibos? If not, we might even see the Alpine, after what was a disastrous first lap, let's not forget for him, get onto the podium.
Yeah, indeed. Neymar especially as well, backwards, wrong way. Any other real-life race, that would have been GG, but he's still got a chance to get a podium. Gap is 6 seconds, though, so it's going to be a bit of a hard sell to get back up there, per se. But it's definitely worth noting that, like I said, I just don't know if it's going to be possible to reel in Tibos, but again, considering that what just happened to Desiree, if a mistake is made, it could easily allow them to try to jump up.
Yeah, very easy to make. We're seeing quite a few mistakes around here. Not really leading to instant retirements, apart from the one for Nathan earlier, which I think did bring out the full safety car. I think the VSC was just for all the carnage and chaos that was happening there. But anyway, before the in-game race director decided to upgrade it to a full safety car, and it looks like that strategy is what's helped Zoidem out at this moment in time. He has made his pit stop, made it very early on in the race, as Phoenix now gets a time penalty, so that'll ruin any chance he's got perhaps of beating Charlie Harris, and TDB's managed to pick up a 3-second time penalty as well, so don't have to worry about too much anything behind, and at least they're on the same penalties as each other. So how we see it on track is how it is between those two. Lap 19, David Chaho just staying out there on these mediums, pushing it ever slightly longer, as now Neymar gets himself a penalty. That's good news for Scott and Sway.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, Scott and Sway, not upset Rob, because Rob also has 3 as well. But if Scott and Sway do start racking them as well, it could happen as well. So, because they are pushing a little, so there is a question mark right now. Is if you're Scott and Sway, how aggressively do you go here? Because you know Rob's got 3, and you know Neymar's got 3. So you know that with the car Rob being 3.8 back at Neymar, you could easily jump 2 spots as long as you don't overly push, because if you get 3 seconds, then you have to go time. But as long as you kind of let Rob lead you to the promised land, you could get all the way up to 4th and 5th respectively. So maybe there's a little bit of a truce here between Scott and Sway to say, look, don't push each other, let Rob lead us to the front, and just kind of go there. So now Zadim's got within 1 second of David in the Ferrari.
Yes, things looking pretty good there. Further back, Tom managed to get ahead of Dresser. Those newer mediums putting him in very good stead indeed. He's in 11th place at the moment. Barring mistakes from any of the other drivers, can't see him getting any further up the order, but it does look like it is going to be another point score for Tom. Scored points in every race so far this season, and with the way it works here in TTML, the top 19 drivers will score points, and as it turns out to be in every TTML race I've commentated on, if you finish, you will manage to pick up yourself some points. As David Chahud finally comes into the pitch, he's going to be lightning fast at the end of this race, but he's going to be about what? Around about where behind Phoenix and TDB at the moment. As here come Phoenix down the inside of Charlie Harris. I think we're starting to get to those point where the medium runners that pitted under the safety car aren't necessarily struggling, but don't have that same amount of pace, and it's starting to come back towards those that are on the fresher mediums, and it's really going to come to the likes of David, the only driver who's going to be on softs at the end.
Yeah, indeed, 100% there, because Carter Rob has already reeled in Neymar. The gap he's coming down. It's 2.6, it's 3.2, 2.5, so he is catching them aggressively quick. But, yeah, worth noting as well is, I don't remember a point there. Oh, yeah, because David came in and it was about 60% wear. And right now, Neymar's about 34. So, again, on those, he's on a set of hards, though, too. So, very odd indeed. So, the hards are getting, actually, yeah, Neymar's on a set of hards. He's getting caught that aggressively. You would think that, at the very least, those hards would still be somewhat all right. But different strokes for different folks, I'd assume. Yeah,
the hards have just turned out to be an absolutely terrible tyre, which is something I find on a lot of circuits on F1 2021. The hards are either a brilliant tyre and the one you want to be on in the race, or absolutely dreadful and avoid as much as possible. And looking at the pace for these drivers around Silverstone, I think if we do head here in future seasons, it's definitely starting to look like you do not want to be on the hard tyres if you can absolutely avoid it, and the mediums might be the one to go for if you are going quite long, because Rob is really starting to reel him in. Last time around, it was a 128.8 for Rob, a 130.2 for Neymar. For Zoidema, it was a 129.4. Now on that last lap, it was a 130.2. Now that he's perhaps not got the DRS, and we are starting to see the gap closing in ever so slightly. And for Rob, Scott, and all those drivers, podiums are definitely still on. It depends whether they can catch up to Tibos in time and whether we see any of the penalties starting to happen here. But we are on lap 21 of this race, 6 laps to go, and it is an 11-second lead for Zoidema, and over those guys on the medium tyres, 19.5 seconds.
What's we're noticing is Tibos got, again, is 7 clear in Neymar, so I feel like Tibos, bearing a mistake, is probably got second locked. But Neymar, yeah, that third is definitely going to be a hard-fought battle between Rob, Scott, Sway as well. So that third is still up for contention. I think Tibos, at the very least, has it all right. Because right now, Neymar's going to probably be another lap or two ahead of Rob and Scott. So it's a situation where I think by lap 22 or 23, they'll get around, at least 22. And then Tibos, they'll have to trace 7 seconds in about 5 laps. And that is just not easy to do, even on with softs to hards.
Yeah, both Ferraris going to have to try and start taking advantage of their better tyres at this moment. Rob, thankfully for him, he's only got 1 car ahead of him. David Chahud, he's got, you can see, 3 in the distance there. TDB, Charlie Harris, who's now all over the back of Phoenix again. So I wonder if Charlie did make a slight mistake earlier when he thought he was starting to struggle on those medium tyres. Has kept it clean with penalties, though, so should, as things stand as they are, and as long as he doesn't get any decent incidents, should get a 7th place, which amazingly would be his best result of the season. And with the pace he's had, that is quite shocking indeed. As Scott pulls a bit of a dummy there, that's a bit of a late decision to try and get ahead of Neymar. Thankfully, Neymar seen it coming. I don't think he'll be too happy about that bump off the circuit.
Yeah, indeed. I think Neymar's not going to be too thrilled, but it's kind of a pace situation right now with the tires. Neymar just got bullied there. There's Robert on the outside, and Scott maybe sense that if he gets ahead, he may be held by a half lap. That could be any chance, even though because it's a 3-second time penalty, he should jump him eventually. But maybe he just thought that I have to get around him quickly, because right now, look at Sway. He's kind of stuck behind him. It's cost him at least a 10th, 5 tenths, maybe a second by the time he eventually gets around. So cost himself some time. So I think he just got to do, I have to go now. I'm
surprised he didn't try and dive it there into the loop, because he has cost himself quite a lot of time. Well, you can see all of a sudden he's a second behind Scott all of a sudden. Now that he's dropped outside of the DRS, is he going to be able to catch up to those two? That might give Rob a slight opportunity. Oh, there's contact between Neymar and Sway. Sway goes round, and a bit like Neymar, won't be happy getting bumped by Scott, but I don't think
so did the Ferrari. David also went around as well in the same spot. I don't think he actually touched anyone. So any chance of making those softs work is now gone, per se. And, yeah, Sway just kind of, I guess that's what he was trying to avoid there, but ended up having it happen anyway.
Yeah, that might be one that goes to the stewards. TDB got a penalty for corner cutting, which I think might have been a bit of a harsh one. We're trying to maybe avoid a spin with David Chahud. Maybe there was contact between those two. We'll have to find out. I'm sure that we'll see things in the stewards. Here comes Scott down the inside of Carvin Rob. He takes that 3rd place. He doesn't have to worry about Sway behind him, and that's good news for Rob as well. So how we're seeing things with Rob, Neymar and Phoenix are how they are with the penalty situation. Rob thinks about round the outside into Vale, but wasn't really enough room there, and he didn't have his car alongside, so was never one that was going to work. And we're seeing a bit more drama here at Silverstone. We thought things were going to be fairly straightforward for some of these drivers. Proved out to be anything but. Sway, has he got away without any major damage on his car? We'll have to wait and see, because it was a bit of a nudge. Yeah, no front wing damage for him, so it shouldn't be too bad of a situation, but he's lost himself a bit of pace all of a sudden. I think the best he could hope for is that he can just catch up to Charlie Harris, maybe overtake Charlie, and then get Phoenix on penalties.
Yeah, that could be an idea as well there, per se. But yeah, with those tires being kind of older than... Actually, Harris is actually old, my mistake. Yeah, it's not like it was yellow flag sector 1. Not 100. Oh, it's going to be Excel around in the Williams, so just when it rains, it pours. Williams driver going to get respinned around here, but that's going to cost him some time. Going to give the Ferrari and Tomid and Desiree all positions. So yeah, one Williams is doing really well, while the other one is struggling mightily. But the Red Bulls as well are having an day as well, so it looks like Williams, at least at the very least how they hold, will keep their constructor gap.
Yeah, it might be worth TDB doing what we're seeing Dave done at this moment in time. He's come into the pits and put on a set of the soft tyres. You do get a point for the fastest lap, of course, as long as you finish the race. So that is what Dave's going for. And TDB, now that he's cooked his rear tyres, He's got a long gap. He's not going to get passed by Dave, and he's not going to catch up to Dresser. He might as well decide.
Oh, Cameron Rob just got another 3.
Bob, he gets another 3-second time penalty. You might think it's worth it, though, if he can get alongside Scott Bugnam. It's like watching Verstappen and Leclerc around here. In 2019, they're fighting wheel to wheel here. Scott just stays ahead for now. Rob's trying to hang in there, though. Is he going to try and make this work round the outside? Into Abbey is going to be a very brave move if he can do so. They're still going to be going out of this part of the circuit, and this is just costing them time to those ahead and maybe even allowing those behind to catch up. But Rob just about stays ahead for now. I think Scott will have the DRS down this next straight, though.
I was going to say that it hurt Scott, because Scott was about 5 seconds behind Tibos, and they were catching. Now it's 6.7, so probably any chance of them catching is now Scott going to hang around the outside. How argy-bargy will it get? Looks like actually Scott's going to kind of play conservatively here. But to go back to my point, Scott was only 5 back at Tibos, and now it's 6.7, so that kind of threw any chance of catching Tibos out the window. And now with Rob getting 3 from kind of getting a little wide, trying to pass Scott, it's now allowed Neymar to be within 6 seconds, Phoenix to be within 6 seconds, Charlie Harris to be in 6 seconds, and I think even Sway within 6 seconds. So it looked like Rob was going to be at least 4th. Now it looks like he's going to be 8th.
Yeah, of course, Neymar and Phoenix do have their own 3-second time penalties, so he might be able to pull out far enough ahead of them. It is pretty close with Neymar, and I think Phoenix has already done that. But definitely Charlie and maybe even Sway later on, that could become a bit of an issue. Here comes Scott. I think he's just going to go for the move at the easy points on the DRS. He knows he's not really got to risk anything at this moment in time. The last thing he wants to do is get himself involved in a collision, whereas Carvin Rob's just having himself a bit of fun here, and he's still managing to fight it. And this time again, they're going side by side into Vale and Club. They are absolutely loving it, and this time Scott just stays out ahead. But yeah, they've lost plenty of time to Tibos. A bit of a bump there from Rob on the back of Scott. He's going to try down the inside of Abbey. There's not enough of a gap there, really, unless you're side by side. That is just going to end in an enormous accident. And Rob, sensible enough to realise that, and now stays in 4th position, but could still find himself finishing, like you said, 5th, 6th, 7th, or even 8th place. Now I think we're going to see another one down at the DRS. While all this is happening, Zoidema is now 13 seconds ahead of Tibos, so he's 7 seconds ahead of both of these pair as they swap round once more.
Somebody got desynced there. Trying to figure out what happened there. Luke, are you there?
I'm definitely there still. We're still watching Scott and Rob battle their way out at this moment in time, and I think Rob's let that place go for now, knowing that he will get the DRS, but I'm not sure how much he can afford to play that bit of a sensible game, because he's not too far ahead of Neymar. Zoidema's coming around Stowe, whereas Tibos is just coming out of Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, and Scott is just coming in to Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. So I know you said it'd look good for the soft tyres. I said it'll be decided at the end of the race. Looks like we're both quite a bit wrong by that, because Zoidema's just absolutely dominating at this moment in time. Here comes Rob round the outside into Stowe once more. He's going to take this position. Will we see Scott fight back into Vale again? I think he's too far back this time, and maybe starting to realise he doesn't need to do this battle. He might be enjoying it, but it could only end badly for him. He's not gaining anything.
The thing is, the battle is actually probably helping his teammate Charlie Harris right now. Because remember, Charlie Harris doesn't have a time penalty. Charlie Harris is probably is behind Phoenix and Neymar and kind of in that train. And if they keep battling, it allows Neymar and Phoenix to kind of slowly reel him in. And then that turn allows Charlie Harris. So right now, Red Bull's looking for a 3-4 right now, if everything holds.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point. And if you get the gap up to the leaders ever so slightly, he's well within that. He's 4 seconds behind Rob at the moment. So this is looking like it is working out. And Rob is at danger at dropping back from Sway. That is 6.1 seconds, that gap, at this moment in time. Scott just deciding not to go for the move then this time around into that part of the circuit. But further up ahead, Zoidema, he's just been absolutely supreme. Pitted on lap 1 when no one else did it unless they were forced to because of damage, and in the end that turned out to not be a bad move for Tibos, Charlie and some of the others. It has been a sublime performance from Zoidema. Dave picks up a penalty. That won't change anything for him really, although it might put him in a bit of trouble with TDB, but it is another podium this season. It's going to be a second victory for Zoidema, and he is going to extend his championship lead. Can anyone stop him this season? Zoidema takes the victory here at Silverstone. Scott and Calvin Robb still battling side by side into Stowe. This time around on the final lap of the race, Tibos is going to take second place. Scott will take third, unless there's to have a massive incident at the end of this race. Phoenix has got ahead of Neymar as well, actually. Scott's going to take third out on track. Calvin Robb is going to cross the line, spins his way across the line, has a massive crash. He's going to drop down, I think, to about 6th or 7th place at this moment in time. There we go, does drop to 7th. Charlie takes 4th, Phoenix 5th. 74 thousandths of a second behind with Sway. Calvin Robb and Neymar very close as well. David Chahud, strategy didn't really work for him. He's in 9th place. Dressy and Tom battling towards the line. And it's Dressy who takes that by an amount that I will tell you later on, but that looked very close, like a photo finish indeed. Tom is 11th. TDB set the fastest lap. He'll be 12th. Dave is 13th. But Zoidema, he made that strategy work absolutely brilliantly. And I think now everyone's going to be thinking, if I'm starting on the softs at Silverstone and there's a safety car on lap 1, I know what strategy I am going for.
Well, I think that's a correct point as well, but you remember as well that he's like only 3% lower than Tibos. Tibos is on hards. So honestly, I think that's more for it. I don't think it's a strategy that's going to work for everyone, because I think Zoidema is so conservative on his tires that it made it work. So maybe the hards would be the better choice, but I think it's buyer beware by driver. But I do think that is going to give a lot of drivers some food for thought. It just comes down to how your driving style is, because not everyone drives like Zoidema. So it's a situation where even the hards would work, but I think it comes down to case by case, because Namor did get caught by the field and ended up finishing 8th. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Different driving styles, even slightly different temperatures on the game can affect stuff. And there's a familiar sight. Zoidema on the podium for the 2nd time this season. It is on the top step. Best result of the season for Tibos. Like you said earlier, just get that good result. Keep grinding it. It can come. It didn't look like it was happening earlier. And it is another podium for Scott Bugner, who's probably now starting to look like the main challenger to Zoidema. The point gap between those in the championship, though, is quite a hefty 39 points, so more than a race win at this moment in time. There's the results. Zoidema takes the win. Tibos is 2nd, Scott 3rd. Charlie Harris, his best result of the season, in 4th. Red Bull doing a good job in the championship today. Phoenix in 5th, Sway 6th, Corin Robin 7th, Neymar was 8th, David Chahud 9th, Dressy getting his first points of the season, Aston Martin's first points, and the top 10 finish by 300ths of a second from Tom. XLTDB, bit of a bad race for him with various things happening. Didn't seem to have the pace early on, then a few mistakes, and that 5-second penalty for the collision. Did get the fastest lap there as he comes over in 12th. Dave gets 13th on his debut, and the retirements were Sonoda, AMG, and Nathan on the first lap of the race, which is where we saw that safety car, and as it's turned out to be, a decisive safety car.
Yeah, indeed. That's definitely what gave Zoidema. I think Zoidema still would have been pretty strong, but he had almost no threat once that safety car came out. He was able to just kind of coast. So that safety car did help him indeed. But I do want to tip my hat to Tibos a little bit as well. It's going to get overshadowed by Zoidema's dominant performance. But Tibos gets a light tip as well, because kind of a monkey off the back race, able to get his first podium of the season, to something that a strong driver like him kind of needs. Even though it may not be a championship run from, it could be something to kind of give him some hope, maybe going into the next season. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, things could have been so different for him if he hadn't had that puncture in the first race. And it'd be interesting to hear unfortunately, we haven't got anyone in the podium who was obviously directly involved in that incident. I think Tibos was a bit of an innocent party further back, but it just looked like Neymar either got a tap or just lost it, and then Charlie Harris was too close to try and avoid anything, and then all sorts of front wings and big damage in the background. Nathan being the one who lost out the most, obviously, retiring from the race.
For the race, from the thing I saw, it looked like he just lost it on his own. Like how the back end was kicking out for Tsunoda. He said it was a setup issue for him. So maybe it was just a setup issue, cold tires, just thing gets out, and that went that. So I generally would argue, I think it's a situation where the back end just said bye-bye to him rather than him getting tapped. But that's at least from what I see from the replay of the stream. He just kind of lost. And yeah, it looks like he lost on his own accord, or maybe slightly touched the Williams. The TDP side-botted it and then went around.
Yeah, definitely. I think it does sound like Neymar definitely went round on his own, and a few people are surprised about the performance that Zoidema put in. But we will start off then. We will start getting the drivers ready for the drivers' interviews, of course. Waiting to hear what all the drivers thought about in that race. And we'll start off with a man who, we'll drag him in. We'll start off with a man who finished in 2nd that race, and a man who I think we thought at various points this season we'd have been hearing from on the podium, but we've not been able to at the moment in time. It is TTG Esports. I believe he is deafened at the moment, so hopefully he realises we've dragged him in. And Matt, can you hear us?
I don't think he can.
Doesn't look like we can hear Matt at this moment in time, so we'll try it with one of the others. We'll try it with a man who's very familiar to these podium interviews.
That was Mike move.
Oh, there we go. We'll try again. Actually, we'll start off with Matt, 2nd place today. Can you hear us?
I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can indeed. Fantastic performance from yourself today, recovering to get 2nd place. I have a funny feeling you weren't expecting that when you lost your front wing in the first sector of the race.
No, I didn't at all. Yeah, it was quite fortunate to get safety car come out, but there was like quite a lot of debris on the track, so I kind of felt right. I'm surprised not more people pitted lap one, because like halves and medians can go to the end. So yeah, but like pace was all right. Try to manage it, and yeah, got a P2, so that's always nice.
You've had some bad luck this season. Obviously, that first race getting that late puncture when it looked like you might have definitely had a chance for victory. Does this sort of make up for that and maybe give you a bit of a confidence boost for the rest of the season?
It does, yeah. And I was a bit worried about going on the median because I knew I might get unlucky again. So that's why I went hard. But yeah, it's nice to get a first podium of the season and try and get some best results from now on.
Yeah, definitely. Pepsi, do you have any questions for our second place finisher?
Not really. The only thing I do want to note would be that's good. Actually, I do got one. How's it? Because I know you've been relatively, I wouldn't say great this season, but I would say average. But how do you think this first podium the field season is going to do for you, knowing that even though maybe the championship may not be 100% a wash, but it's definitely going to be a hard road ahead, especially considering how fast Sudima has been. But how does it feel getting the first podium this season when it's been kind of a struggle for the first couple rounds?
Yeah, it feels good. I was quite unlucky in the first, like Bahrain, for example, Spain as well, where I was kind of my own fault. But yeah, Sudima is just like on form at the moment, so I can't really do much about it. But yeah, I'll try and do my best to get some best results now to the end of the season and see where we end up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to say.
All right.
Well, I'll have to wait and see how things go for you, but congratulations on your first podium of the season.
Congratulations on your second place. As I think he just kind of cut out there, so I'll finish that sentence for him. Okay. Congratulations on your second place, and hope we have more to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to Tibos. We'll now try and start with Zoidema. Zoidema, can you hear us?
Yep.
Congratulations. You're becoming a bit of a familiar theme in these podium interviews. 5th time this season, 2nd victory. It looked fairly simple for you out there once you were the only drivers coming to the pits on lap 1 that didn't have damage.
Yeah, I think this is like, I was very, very surprised that nobody really pitted. And I don't know, like, this was probably one of the easiest races I've ever done. Like, I knew the only thing that could ruin my race is another safety car or something.
Now, a lot of the others went for the hard tyres. You went for the mediums. Were you ever tempted to go for the hards, or were you always confident that the mediums would last to the end?
I was very confident that they would last to the end because on this game there is no wear, and especially with like a setup trick and also my own wear is always really good. The mediums almost on every track last the whole race. So yeah, I was always going to go for mediums on if there was a safety car lap 1.
Pepsi, do you have any questions?
I do have one, but first, I just do have one. I'll say this because I don't want to go about the your driver standings right now because obviously I don't want to put any jinx on that. So we'll talk about the constructors instead because you do have a little bit of a gap in the constructor standings, but your teammate did have a little bit of a poor performance here today, and the Red Bulls did finish 3 and 4, so that gap does close. So I guess my question is that how confident do you feel in the constructor standings right now, and do you think anyone else will catch you?
I honestly don't know what the constructor standings are, to be fair.
It's about 30 points from you to the Red Bulls right now. But that probably came out just a little bit today. But it's about 20, 25 points right now, I'd argue.
All right. I mean, I think we can win it. I'm hoping we can win it. But I don't know. It kind of depends on how the rest of the season goes. If I keep this form, it's going to be a lot easier, I guess.
Actually, it's actually about 30, 35 points, I was like. But yeah, if you keep that form, definitely it'll be a lot easier than if you're stinking. But if you're stinking, then you're also going to hurt yourself in the drivers. But yeah, that was a great performance here today. And hopefully, I don't know if I should say hopefully we see it next week because I think the rest of the field will hurt me if I say that. So, but hopefully you do well next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Another podium for Zoidema, another victory as well. And we will drag in our final podium sitter today, the man who finished in 3rd position. It is Scott Buckner. Scott, great performance from yourself today. Just probably the best you could have done in the end without pitting under the safety car.
He's currently on mute, so he has not turned it off yet. So I'm not 100% if he, yeah, he's still on mute. So unless we got sign language, I don't think there's much we can really do to get an answer out of him right now.
Yeah, well, we'll continue talking amongst ourselves for a slight bit. Like, obviously, as we've heard from Zoidema and Tibos, they seemed fairly certain that was the strategy to go for in the end. Go get that pit stop early on, even if Tibos was forced into it, of course.
I mean, if I was an engineer, I think it would have been fired because I would have stayed, tell him to stay out on the soft. So yeah, that was a mistake on my part there. I would have definitely been fired looking for in the classifieds. But yeah, though that's why they proved that they're in the higher levels while I never got out of D5.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd need my own division, to be perfectly honest. Scott, you are on mute, so if you just unmute yourself and confirm that
There
you
we go.
can hear us. Congratulations
absolutely,
on that third position today. Probably in the end, without pitting on lap 1, the best you could have hoped for.
Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of like race practice. I didn't really know how long the mediums would last. So yeah, I went in. I thought I'd stay out for a bit and just do my normal strategy, and it sort of paid off. Sort of didn't. Happy from with the podium from 9th, but yeah, it'll do. It's points, and it carry it on for the next one.
Yeah, it looks like you were having a fun battle for the majority of that race with Carvin Rob, even though you were going to get the position anyway after penalties. I imagine you enjoyed yourself out there.
Do you know what? I actually wasn't. I didn't want to battle. I wanted to just try and crack on and try and push as far up as I could, because I knew that we were gaining on the hard runners, and I thought, oh, stop battling me. Every time I get in front, the DRS pulls him closer, and it was just after the few laps, I thought, oh, we might as well just battle now and have a bit of fun. So, but yeah, it was good. Thank you.
Yeah, it was definitely good fun to watch as well. Pepsi, do you have any questions for Scott?
I do have one question, something that kind of I've hypothesized at the end of the race here, but I will throw that question out there. I know you were battling just for the fun of it, but was in the back of your mind you were trying to help maybe your teammate get a little bit higher up, knowing that Neymar, Conway, and Phoenix all had time penalties? Maybe you were trying to help your Red Bull teammate up a little bit, or are you just battling for your best?
No. With about 3 or 4 laps to go, I said to Charlie, I'll try and start sort of backing him up now, and not deliberately, not in a horrible way, just sort of defend a little bit harder and sort of slow the pace down a little bit, and it worked, and they're the sort of things we have to do if you want to win constructors. So it worked out well.
Yep, so you're putting the challenge down to Zudima and Williams right now. I think with that, you've just kind of set your line in the sand. So I think that'll be very interesting to see you going with the final 5 rounds.
Yeah, they are, and well done to the XL driver. You're very, very quick, and he done the right strategy by pitting on lap 1. So, but yeah, and I think it's all to play for.
All right, I think that covers my question. So, good for you, Scott Bugner, and again, maybe hopefully we see you here next week as well.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, congratulations, Scott. Your second podium of the season. That is pretty much it then for this stream. A very interesting British Grand Prix, even though there wasn't a lot of battles happening out of the front of the field. Plenty of things to keep myself and yourself entertained in the midfield, Pepsi.
Yeah, indeed. It's kind of like, I'd argue, sometimes like a NASCAR race or something where you got to focus on the midfield instead of the front when the front pulls away. But that sometimes happens. Sometimes you get a good race. But it was a dominant performance by Zudima, so it's something that you don't get to listen to every day. So it was very interesting to see that strategy play out and work.
Yeah, definitely not something you see happen on the F1 game all too often. There is plenty of action on League Racing TV for the rest of the week, though. F1 and F3, you can watch them back, as well as this race, on the LRTV YouTube channel. Then it is BNL action from the same place as the real F1, Russia, on Saturday and Sunday. And judging by the weather forecast for Russia on Saturday, that might be the closest thing you get to any F1 cars going around the Sochi Autodrome. And then there is the Sim League around Britain, with Pepsi taking you through that on Sunday. And next week, as we've already mentioned, there's going to be some action from from EML. Of course, there's more TTML action, and we're in the final half of the season at the longest circuit on the calendar. Another one that was in Formula 1 back in 1950, the Belgian Grand Prix. So make sure to catch myself and Pepsi for that one next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Thank you so much, all the drivers, for joining us with the interviews. Thanks to Pepsi for joining us well in the commentary box. And thank you to everyone that has been watching. And we will see you same time, same place next week for the Belgian Grand Prix. Can anyone stop Zoidema taking another podium? It's time for Scott, Matt, and maybe some of the others in the field. If they want to take this championship, they're going to have to start fighting hard now. See what happens next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.